Welcome, welcome, welcome. Is this a grand day or what? Yes. It is. This is a good day, isn't it? Welcome everybody to Viola Liuzzo Park. I'm Julie Hamilton. I am on the board here of the Viola Liuzzo Park Association. All members of the Park Association, come up here and let people see you. Miss Colette Meza. Heidi, jump in here too. DJ. Motor City Popcorn owner. Where's our other friends over here? Tracy Terrell. Come on up. And then we have Mr. Artist Johnson, who's going to be speaking in just one moment.
And Dorothy.
And Dorothy Dewberry Aldrich, who's hiding right now, but today I just have to say something about Dorothy Dewberry Aldrich. Dorothy is the visionary of the monument. Dorothy Dewberry Aldrich went down to Selma, to Lowndes County, months after Mrs. Liuzzo, Dr. Liuzzo, was murdered. And she and a group of SNCC activists went down and went door to door in Lowndes County later that year, signing people up and registering them to vote. Here she is, right here. Yes. And she made it today, and we are so grateful. And it was Dorothy who said, after we were done with the sculpture on the corner that was done by the talented Austin Brantley, Dorothy said, we need to do a monument. So this monument here in the park was inspired, it's not a replica, but it was inspired by the monuments in Monument Park, Selma, Alabama. And many of you have been there, you know of them, but this was really Dorothy's vision, that we have a monument that really speaks to why Mrs. Liuzzo got in her car that day and made that trip down to Selma to help out on the March on Selma. And it also is reflecting the amazing relationship between Mrs. Sarah Evans, her dearest friend, and Mrs. Liuzzo. And Mrs. Sarah Evans stepped in before Viola left. She turned to Sarah and she said, if something happens to me when I am down in Selma, when I'm down in Alabama, would you take care of my family? And she did. She made that sacrifice. She stepped in and she helped raise the Liuzzo children. And so we are so delighted to have Sarah's family with us today. They paid the sacrifice just as the Liuzzo family did all those years ago. And Tyrone Green Sr. and Tyrone Green Jr., and we are just so delighted to have them here today. So I am going to turn this over to our president of the Viola Liuzzo Park Association, and that is Mr. Artist Johnson. When you come to this neighborhood, you find out about Mr. Artist Johnson because I went door to door and Colette went door to door to ask people if they were interested years ago in the park getting restored, and they said, absolutely, great idea, but you got to talk to Mr. Johnson. And I went to another door and, well, you got to talk to Mr. Johnson. You remember that? And I said, who's this Mr. Johnson? But I said, no, nothing's going to happen until Mr. Johnson steps in. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. And we are now like family. And the leadership of our committee is run by him, and I am going to let him give a welcoming.
Okay, this is a little different for me. Okay, so I want you to understand. I might make a few mistakes here, but my name is Artist Johnson. I am the president of this park association. Our board members are, and welcome to our beautiful playground, please. this is something neat. I've been working with this park for many years, and I don't plan to stop now. We appreciate you coming out. I really, this is exciting to me for the ribbon cutting of the Civil Rights Memorial Museum. We especially thank the mayor, and I really thank the mayor because he and I talked, and it went over real good. That's when they got ready to do the whole thing. And I thank him for this because without him, we wouldn't have what we have out here today. And we just want the Park and Recreation, and for all the support and being here today. We hope to see everybody back here next year if we can, you know. We plan a big celebration next year. It will be something totally different, but we all live to see it, and we hope we will, okay? So one board member will introduce the speaker. I thank you.
Mr. Deputy Mayor. Thank you so much. Todd Bettison.
Deputy Mayor Todd Bettison, representing Mayor Duggan. But what I can tell you is Mayor Duggan, he talked to Mr. Johnson. And so I talked to Mr. Johnson, and when you look at the beautiful park here, this is what it's really about. It's about the city administration and city government supporting neighborhoods, supporting the residents because they know what's best. And when you think about today, the commemoration of what we're doing here, as far as commemorating the lives of Dr. Viola Liuzzo and Miss Sarah Evans, they were freedom fighters. And I will say this from a personal thing for me. Without them and what they did in the civil rights and the fight for freedom for all of our folks, African Americans, I would not be standing here today. And so it gives me great honor to be a part of this, to be able to just recognize and have this unveiling of the statue. I would like to thank the honorees also and their families. So I would like them to stand, and let's give them all a round of applause as well. Thank you to the families, Mrs. Evans and Dr. Liuzzo, for continuing to share your stories. The city of Detroit is proud to dedicate this new statue to the women for what they did with their selflessness, sacrifice in history. And we do have a special treat from you, as for you all as well. Our historian, Jamon Jordan, will definitely bring to life the history. And one of the things that we did to make sure that our young folks, our residents, and everybody don't forget the great history of the city of Detroit and how we contributed to the civil rights fight, we hired a historian. So I want to give it up to Rochelle Riley. I want to give it up to Jamon Jordan. And then I would be remiss if I didn't thank Brad Dix, Crystal Perkins, and the General Services Department for all their work that they do at city parks, keeping them clean. And then also to the Water and Sewage Department, Mr. Gary Brown, because if you look, we have the retention pond basins here, which contribute to the overall neighborhood as well. And what I'm hearing, they're working. The neighbors have told me that their houses have not flooded since we put the beautiful retention ponds in this neighborhood. So let's give it up to the whole team at the city where we're working to make a difference. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor Bettison. We are going to now introduce Crystal Perkins, who is our director of the City of Detroit General Services Department, which has just been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you everyone for being here. I am honored to be here today. The General Services Department is proud to have partnered with the Viola Liuzzo Park Association to help bring history to life. We are grateful that Dr. Liuzzo stood up for the fight. We are grateful that she said that this is everyone's fight. Today we get to see this beautiful monument that will forevermore stand as a reminder that this is everyone's fight. The relationship shared between the Dr. and Mrs. Evans is a perfect example of sisterly love. Unfortunately, Councilmember Calloway could not be present with us today, but I do have some remarks that I would like to share with you on her behalf. Today we gather in District 2 to unveil Civil Rights Memorial Monument at the Viola Liuzzo Playground. The doctor's unwavering dedication to social justice, equality deeply resonates with the people of Detroit. We come together to honor her legacy, which serves as a reminder that everyday people can inspire significant changes. Let this moment symbolize our collective commitment to preserving her memory and advancing her cause. We strive to ensure that her profound sacrifice is not forgotten and that future generations are enlightened by her story. Again, it is an honor to be here with you today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jamon Jordan, a first, an official historian of the city of Detroit. Give him a hand.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing? Good. We in Detroit, so what up, though? It's great to see everybody here this morning. I want to first thank the Viola Liuzzo Park Association for all the work that was done, first for this park and to make sure that this monument was done. So let's give it up for the Viola Liuzzo Park Association. And I want to give it up to our officials, our elected officials who are here. I see Councilwoman Mary Waters is here, so let's give it up for Councilwoman Mary Waters. And of course, the Deputy Mayor has already spoken. And any other notables that I'm missing that I don't see, please give it up for them. I see Camelia back there, Landrum, Executive Director of the Detroit Branch NAACP. So before I give my own remarks, my supervisor, Rochelle Riley, the Director of Arts and Culture Department office at the City of Detroit, has some remarks. She's not in good health right now, so she had to take this day off, and she couldn't be here, but she feels bad that she couldn't be here, but she left some remarks for me to say, so I'm going to say those before I say what I came to say. And this is her remarks. In his letter from Birmingham jail in April 1963, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote these words: "First, I must confess that over the last few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have also reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in the stride toward freedom is not the White Citizens Council or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I can't agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically feels he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by the myth of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait until a more convenient season. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection." Dr. King was not talking about Viola Liuzzo. She was neither lukewarm nor passive. When the call came to help fight for the rights of Black Americans down in Selma, she traveled all the way from Detroit. She risked her life for good, and her ultimate sacrifice should never be forgotten. Her name should never be forgotten. Anyone who believes in right, who wants to fight for right, should live in the spirit of Viola Liuzzo. There will never be enough gratitude for her and the many like her who didn't seek justice because they shared a skin color, but sought justice because they shared the dream. And that's from Rochelle Riley. Give it up for Rochelle Riley. On March 7th, 1965, hundreds of people tried to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, and they were brutally attacked by the sheriffs, state police officers, and Selma police officers, and we know that as Bloody Sunday. And a call went out by civil rights leaders, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the organizations on the ground right there in Selma for people to come and join this movement for the fight for the right to vote. And a woman in the city of Detroit, a wife, a mother of 5 children, heard that call and went down to Selma, Alabama, to be a part of this movement, this Selma to Montgomery March, which wasn't just for show. It was to move the South into allowing black people to register to vote and to be able to vote. There were people in this country who didn't even know that black people couldn't vote in the South. If you live in Chicago, if you live in Maine, if you live in New York, you just assume that everybody can vote. But there are places in the United States that black people could not vote. And she heard that call. There are people who are leaving Selma after Bloody Sunday. There are people who are staying away from Selma after Bloody Sunday. But she gets in her car and drives down to Selma after Bloody Sunday. Jimmy Lee Jackson has been killed. James Reeb he's killed a few days after Bloody Sunday. A few months after, Jonathan Daniels will be killed. It's called Bloody Lowndes County for a reason. And so she goes down into Bloody Lowndes to be a part of this movement, to join and fight for people to have the right to vote, which is just one step of the rights of what we would call human rights, particularly in the United States of America. And so as she does this, and after the march is over, she is providing transportation. A car pulls up, and she's murdered by members of the Ku Klux Klan. After she's murdered by these members of the Ku Klux Klan, the civil rights community knows that she's a hero. But there are people who ought to have viewed her as a hero who do everything but that. The governor of Alabama, George Wallace, he doesn't regard her as a hero. He speaks ill of all of the people who came down to Selma, Alabama, and Montgomery to be a part of this march, including Viola Liuzzo. The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation goes on a smear campaign to destroy her. And in trying to destroy her, she's already been murdered, which destroyed her life or killed her as a person. But now he's going to try to destroy her character and her reputation and try to destroy her family. And this will cause massive problems for the Liuzzo family. And people who hear about this story and hear what the FBI smear campaign is, try to do things here in the city of Detroit to the family. A cross is burned on their lawn. They're mocked and attacked. The children are mocked and attacked at school. So it is as if the South isn't the only people who killed Viola Liuzzo. Even in the North, she's being attacked and killed right here in the city of Detroit. It was an attempt to kill her, her character, and destroy her family. But what we know today is that she has even a bigger family. Her family was not destroyed. Her family was increased, because now we all are a part of her family, because she fought for something that all of us should be fighting for. Even though George Wallace was on the wrong side, we can't agree with him today. We have to be on the right side. Even though the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who should have been fighting for justice, was on the wrong side, we got to be fighting for justice today to be on the right side. And so now we have a larger family, and we have this monument being placed in a place where you can bring your family. This is a place where you can bring your family and be a part of the Viola Liuzzo family, because just as she gave her life for us, we have to give our lives to continue that fight for justice, human rights, and equality. Thank you for listening.
Wow. A first ever historian of our city. Is that amazing?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. One of our newer board members is Cindy Robb, and we want to invite her up to speak on behalf of the family of Viola Liuzzo. Cindy.
Hi, thank you. Whoa. She said it, you might need to move the mic. I don't. Thank you all so much for coming out today. And I'm speaking today on behalf of the family who were actually planning to be here. Tony and his wife, Anthe, just moved back to the Detroit area after being gone for a long, long time. None of the Liuzzo children actually live in Michigan anymore, except for Tony and his son, Josh, are here. So they all were planning to be here, and they were waylaid by COVID. So, so I am here to just thank everyone so much. And Javon, you took part of my speech when you, the family at the time that Viola was murdered, the family was just treated so badly, and there were so many things. Crosses burned in their yard. The youngest, Sally, had children throwing rocks at her on her way home from school. It was just really, really bad, and it broke them for a long time. They wouldn't tell you that, but I can. And this park has been such a healing and wonderful thing for not only this family, but this whole neighborhood. And it was 9 years ago that was the 50th anniversary of the Selma March, and Colette Meza and Julie Hamilton got together and decided, hey, we should fix that park up. It's really in disarray. And they put together a committee and a board, and this is all them working with the city of Detroit, and thank you so much to the city of Detroit. They've been absolutely wonderful, and this has been healing and incredible for the family, and for the city, and for this neighborhood. So thank you all very, very much. It's very meaningful for them.
Thanks, Cindy. And one of our honorees is Dean Robb, who represented the family. So we are really pleased that Cindy is part of our board and makes us better in the process. One of the things most dear to our hearts about this monument is the representation and the honoring of Mrs. Sarah Evans. And we are delighted to have her family members here today. Tyrone Green Sr., Tyrone Green Jr., and is it the great-great-granddaughter? Great-granddaughter, great-granddaughter Simone. Come on up and join us.
Good morning. How's everybody? This is unbelievable. And now it's time for me to speak. It's hard because I didn't know that it was going to be like this, but to make a long story short, I'm not going to try to hold anybody all night because I spoke about this a million times throughout my life about when God put two angels together, can't nothing but something good come out of that. Not one angel, they were two angels, and they knew what love was. They knew what other people, all they was concerned about was, how are you doing? God took care of them every day of their life. As a matter of fact, it's hard for most people to understand that Viola loved my grandmother so much that she made sure that she came to her house every day under the pretense of being her housekeeper. She wasn't her housekeeper, she was her best and loving friend in this world. They loved off of each other every day. God made sure that he got the glory. If you knew them, you would know that they were just two angels together. They met like angels, they lived like angels. I could talk to you till next month about these two. They were two characters that were just lovers. They didn't care about color. They didn't care about who you were. Everybody was inclusive. Viola used to bring people home to her house just to feed them. Do you know what it takes to have a heart like that? To want to just feed somebody because you love them, because they need to be fed? Those are just angels. So like I said, I can talk to you all day about them because my grandmother raised me. I used to see her every day. And Viola used to go out to her house and pick her up from her working there, or supposedly working there anyway. But she was just there as a friend. I know it's hard to believe, but to love somebody that much, it's godly. It can be done. It's unbelievable because, see, number one, loving somebody is really supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be difficult. Each one of us right now could love each other without even thinking about it twice. Without even thinking about it twice. Being concerned about the person next to you, the person behind you, the person in front of you. No, you can't take care of, be concerned about all of them, but you can still have a love for the people that are breathing around you. It's just supposed to be something that's natural. God gave us the natural tools to just love your brethren the same way you love yourself. That's easy. That's not difficult. That's the easiest thing in the world, to love your brother like you love yourself. Come on now. Okay. I'm gonna let it go. Here's my son. There's my daughter. I'm gonna let them take over. And my sister, hey baby, I didn't know you was here. I know you did. Yeah, so God let us live to see this day of you people showing us love, showing Viola, my grandmother, love. And believe me, I will never forget this day of love that you showed us. Thank you so much. Thank you again.
Hi. If our tears are any testament, it's the love that not only she had for that family, it's the love that she had for us. She never missed a beat. As a child growing up, I didn't know that she was making all of these sacrifices. My grandmother looked out for them. She looked out for us. She worked a full-time job. She had a bridge club, and she took us to Boblo every year. I am so, so grateful that my dad and that my aunt have lived to see this day. And on behalf of my entire family, those that are here and those that aren't, I just say thank you so very much from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
I promise I'll be quick. You know, I just want to say thank you for everyone coming out, supporting. I can't thank the committee enough for putting this together. You know, I was very, very young and didn't really get to know my great-grandmother that much. I can still hear her voice in my head. She would always call me Tyrone Jr. Never Tyrone, never Ty, never Anthony, none of that. Just Tyrone Jr., Tyrone Jr., Tyrone Jr. And I didn't know what type of legacy that she was leaving behind for us. I wish I could have asked her more questions. I wish I would have sat down with her and had conversations. She used to make the best like coffee cakes in the morning. Every time we would wake up, I'll smell the coffee cakes. She used to make these jams in the morning that taste amazing. You know, from what I remember, she was an amazing woman. I just wish I would have spent more time with her. And with that being said, if you have someone in your life that's older, that you don't talk to as much, sit down, get to know them, have conversation, because each one of us has a story. And I just wish I would have got to know her story just a little bit more. So again, I want to thank the city of Detroit. I want to thank the committee. I want to thank my father. I want to thank my sister. I want to thank my aunt for being here. And we just love you so much, great grandmother. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Wow. Powerful. We have friends from the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute here. Elaine Steele, who's the co-founder of the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute. Unfortunately, Anita Peak, who is the executive director of the Institute, could not be here. Is she here? She's here. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So they did both make it. And I was standing right there. Did you want to say a word, or would you just... We're here. So they said they're here, and if you have a chance, please take time out to introduce yourself to them. They have come to the park for most of every one of our big events and signed people up to vote and have had a real presence. And we're really grateful for you and coming and the work that you do. Just amazing. Reverend Horace Sheffield III from DABO, Detroit Association of Black Organizations. Are you here? Did Reverend Sheffield make it? Okay, I don't believe he made it. So, but his father's being honored in the monument today. So take a moment and recognize that. Also, somebody very dear to our heart, and someone who's probably been the busiest person this past year in Michigan, celebrating the 60th anniversary with the NAACP March here in Detroit, and Dr. King visiting. We want to bring up Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Let me say good morning to all of you. First of all, I'm glad to be in Michigan and in Detroit. This would be illegal in Florida. Putting a statue, a monument up for Viola Liuzzo would not be acceptable in certain parts of the United States of America today. Her life story would be banned. Story of Dr. King, banned. Her death, banned. In the United States of America. I'm glad to be in Michigan and in Detroit. And we're not careful, that same mess will slide here. That's why what Viola Liuzzo was fighting for, the right to vote, is so essential. If you don't vote, you don't count. Jamon Jordan was correct when he outlined the historic journey of this grand woman from Detroit and her Oldsmobile, shuffling freedom riders back and forth. On the night she was killed, she was heard to be singing softly, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday," as they shot bullets into her head. Leroy Moulton, the surviving student who played dead so the Klan would not kill him, testified in court that she was singing that song. I just left Ghana at the river where the enslaved Africans were forced to take their last bath before they got on the ships to come to the Caribbean and to the United States. They were bathed and then put into the holds of the ship and brought forth here. And they asked us to sing a song, something from America, to depict the struggle of our people and where we have come from. And we elected to sing, "We shall overcome." And they knew the song. And they said, "We have overcome." Viola Liuzzo died at the age of 39. Martin died at the age of 39. Malcolm died at the age of 39. Their lives were not given. Their lives were taken. They took their lives for us. Can we not give our lives for each other? And so as we stand here and we pay tribute to our dear sister, this grandmother, this daughter of freedom and justice and equity from the city of Detroit, a monument presupposes work that has been done. A monument pays tribute to a life that has been won and given. Everybody doesn't get a monument. Your life, your service determines the monument that you will receive. Her life has determined the monument, not just in material, but in the spiritual, in the mental, in the drive to continue the fight for freedom. Thank God for Viola Liuzzo. Thank God for those descendants who will be duty-bound to remember we fight until we win. God bless you.
And I just want to mention, thank you so much, Dr. Wendell Anthony, that Viola Liuzzo, this is what Yvonne White shared with us. Yvonne couldn't be here today, the head of the Michigan chapter of the NAACP, the president. She couldn't be with us, and she was sorry to not be able to make it, but she went back through the history of Viola Liuzzo through the NAACP records and said that she found that Mrs. Liuzzo, Dr. Liuzzo, was a lifelong member of the NAACP and was greatly involved and greatly inspired by this organization and all the amazing work that you do. And she was not a naive woman. She knew what she was doing, didn't she? And she went down there, and thank goodness for the NAACP and all you do. Thank you. I think I'm going to turn it over to Colette Meza. I think that we're ready for you to come and talk a little bit about this monument.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. So after everybody's speeches, I'm not really sure what I have to add, but we want to thank you again for coming here today, because each one of you has helped this neighborhood not only survive, but to thrive with this beautiful park and the support you have given. And your presence here also helps keep the memories alive of Viola Liuzzo and Sarah Evans and honors their families. The beautiful sculpture that you probably have seen on the north side of this park by Austin Brantley has become a beacon for not only the neighbors and Detroiters, but visitors from all over America and the world. And today's monument is going to join that sculpture, both embodying the notions that working together, listening to each other, respecting one another, and like Mr. Green said, loving one another can help change the world. Just so you know, the Viola Liuzzo Park Association is an all-volunteer nonprofit organization, and this is a little business for us. Your support is vital. You should have received, if you haven't, you can pick up a donation form because we're actively seeking funds for next year's events and park programming that we do here every year. And thank you for your continued support. So lastly, let's remember to keep up the fight for justice and for voting rights. And remember, like Viola said, it's everybody's fight. So now if we could get people to come over, especially the media and all the honorees, we are going to do this monument, what we've all been waiting for.
So everyone who's doing the unveiling, I want you all over
That is so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
So beautiful.
Look this way. Can you call your father? Can you call your father and your uncle over? I mean, auntie.
Auntie, she wants to watch you in the picture.
Todd. Can you get back?
Oh, my, thank you so much.
She said she can. All right. Everybody look this way. Yes, indeed. Make sure you just go good food.
That's wonderful.
Can I get y'all on the other side?
Oh, y'all the daughter perform this time. Yes, my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I do. Okay, perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All right.